Good day. I'm Doug Carlberg. I'm president of Carlberg Consulting Group and past chair of the San Antonio Manufacturers Association. Welcome to Lead With Me, a leadership series on podcast. Today, we have a different format that we're going to be dealing with. We have a moderator, Joel Gunn from Cox Manufacturing, Chief Financial Officer. We have Gary Peterson, one of our guests today. He's the Executive Vice President for O.C Tanner out of Salt Lake City, and myself, Doug Carlberg. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Joel, who's going to moderate the discussion today on leadership.
Thanks, Doug. So, privileged to be here with you two gentlemen. You guys have crossed paths quite a bit, as I understand, over the years.
Over 30 years.
Yeah. And
a little bit like you and I.
As we were preparing for today, I got some various input from you folks and fed that into AI, actually. And so AI came up with some questions for you.
Fantastic.
That it wants to know the answers.
Yeah, I had to feed it all the key words, and he did the AI's portion of it.
So first question for you, Gary. How has the Shingo model influenced your approach to leadership culture and driving enterprise alignment?
Yeah. So, the pyramid says that we do continuous improvement so that we can align people to creating more value for the client. And we like to talk about it as being more value, less effort. And foundationally, culture is a critical part of that. If I have people come to the factory all the time and they see the continuous improvement principles and they say something like, we launched a continuous improvement program and everybody was excited about it. And then 2 months later, it was dead. I don't know what killed it. I'm like, well, I know what killed it. Your culture killed it.
Oh, that's right.
Your culture killed it. And we talk about the two principles in the culture piece, respect for people and humble leadership. And all it takes is someone being disrespectful, making it psychologically unsafe. And people are, from that point forward, hesitant to come forward with their good ideas.
And that's the secret that I've learned from the Toyota production model.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And the other thing that you learn from Toyota is this respect, this humble leadership, this idea that how can we all learn from this? And what do you think we should do, as opposed to me as a leader telling you this is the answer? And again, if the culture is set up for the manager to control and to tell people what's being done, again, continuous improvement is not going to thrive. So I think we have definitely come to believe and see how that culture drives the ability to make continuous improvement aligned to value to the client.
You know, early on in our career, you and I experienced that, Joe, back in the Harris days. We were trying to turn around that division back then, and we were trying to embrace lean, trying to get team engagement. And we started off, first of all, I started off with my team at the senior level and doing Myers-Briggs, identifying the 16 different personality types. And we flowed that down to the whole organization. And finding out diversity is very important. One of the things we found out about some teams, because we were allowing people to hire their own team members, we're hiring everybody with the same Myers-Briggs, and we were wondering why they couldn't get outside the box. And so we had to figure out how to get outside the box once we got diversity in the team with Myers-Briggs. So I can remember going for Toys for Us, and I had this big cart that I was going up to the cash register. It was finished, filled with cush balls. And the lady behind me says, "You must be having a party for your kids." I said, "No, I'm buying that for work." And she looks at me and says, "That's got to be a fun place to live." So what we would do is we would do catchball with them. And then that way we could, everybody would have a chance to talk, because some of the people, based on their profile, were introverts. And they probably had the best ideas.
Yeah. I think if you don't bring up the fact that we're all different, that we have different personalities, different skill sets, different ways of being, and that we value that, we honor that, then people do tend to think instinctively, I like this person because he or she's like me. And so we tend to surround ourselves with people like ourselves. If you don't mind me throwing in, the scripture says, charity seeketh not her own. I kind of think that means that we get out of the groups that maybe we're naturally inclined to be toward, and more outward thinking about, who else can I pull into this group? Yeah. I think it does bring better thinking.
It does. It really does. Yeah. And it took us a while to figure it out from the Japanese, but we finally figured out the secret sauce.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
There's a management saying that goes around, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Right.
And I think it was General McChrystal said, I disagree. Culture eats everything for breakfast. Doug, this question's for you. In your experience, what's the greatest challenge in effectively linking just-in-time supplier deliveries with internal flow?
Well, and for us, that was a big issue back in we even with my last company, M2 Global Technology, back in the Harris days, our on-time delivery, we were 6 months behind in deliveries. Yeah. And when we looked into it, why we were behind, they actually established Kanbans, but they looked in the rearview mirror, and we were a low mix, high option type product line, and they were looking in the mirror what they sold the year before, and it didn't work. They just didn't have a good forecast. And the only way you could do that is to really get your suppliers involved in your business. We would send teams out to the suppliers and help them establish Kanbans and communication systems back and forth to how we did it. And then we got to a point, much like you did at O.C. Tanner, even though we were a high mix, low volume, we were doing just in time. The material would come in and we would have it. And we figured out how to handle all the options. The options are always the most difficult. Yeah. But we had the main line was the basis on the chassis was all the same. So we had feeder lines that we developed, and it worked really well. But here again, communication to your suppliers, coming up with a supplier inspection system or rating system, try to figure out how you can self-certify them so the quality comes in 100% right 100% of the time. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Let me give you another example of that, Doug. So we have, we sell a lot of consumer goods as part of our rewards programs. And we sell a lot of Samsonite luggage. And they make products for us that are unique to us. They bring them across the ocean. They receive them in California. They put them on a tray and ship them over to Georgia. And then they would take what we would consume in a month, put it in a big truck, and truck it out to us once a month. We're like, hey, anyway, we get these twice a week. And for them, it didn't make any economical sense to drive a partial load from Georgia to Salt Lake City twice a week. We kept pushing hard until they thought, wait a minute, we're actually driving past Salt Lake City on the way to Georgia. What if we had another warehouse in California? We offload there. We're just taking it to them. And for them, it didn't make sense right out of the chute. But I talked to their VP of logistics some years later, and he's like, you know what? We actually manage the West Coast now out of that warehouse with much more frequent shipping. And I think initially it doesn't make sense if you don't think it through. But after you understand it, after you try it,
it also helps the cash flow.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think the secret is communication, right? Talking to your suppliers, being a little more open-handed, like you were, and this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Right. How can we get there?
Right.
Gary, how do you use Gemba walks and team huddles to reinforce both standardized work and a culture of coaching?
Yeah, so we have a system that we call our Gemba assessment system, where every Monday, every exempt employee receives an email that tells them to go to a random location and test a random system, any one of our dozens of systems. And each system has a series of questions that you ask. You might be asking a team member, you might be asking a leader, it might be about coaching, it might be about standardized work, it might be about safety, it might be about visual management. And it gets us out into the different areas, talking to people, and kind of seeing how they're doing things. And if you notice that somebody isn't following the standard way of doing work, they fail the audit. And you put it into the system, it shows up on their chart, they talk about it. And it took us a little bit of while to get people okay with the idea of failing. It's not like if we don't fail, we don't learn. So let's be open to it. And we've really come a long way in that people want you. I want you to point out to me anything you see where maybe I can improve my standardized work. And for us, that's another form of coaching that we can do in helping people do the work as well as they want to.
What's interesting, I've probably for the last 15 plus years almost have done a tour of O.C. Tanner every year. Mm-hmm. And O.C. Tanner does a lot of tours.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when you have a tour group, the tour group actually walks out and does that audit. Right. Yeah. And the feedback on when you bring them back into the classroom and you kind of talk about it, the feedback's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And, we started doing that about 5 years ago or so, handing them a Gemba assessment card. And what's really helpful is sometimes a company will send people to us, right? They'll pay to have them come learn. But they're not the type of people who, if I walked out on the floor and I say, hey, why don't you go talk to some people? They're like, I don't know what to say. They're, given their personality type, I'm kind of stuck here. But if I hand them a Gemba assessment card, why don't you go ask somebody these questions? I think they can do that. Mm-hmm. Now you give me something to talk about. So yeah, I think having people on tour do the Gemba assessments has really gone well.
Yeah, and with that, it kind of brings me up because I remember you actually published it there, the steps for the model. And it's see, think, experience, prove, and sustain. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, that is our problem-solving methodology. It's a DMAIC. It's a PDCA, if you will.
Oh yeah.
But we're having a hard time getting people to kind of latch onto it. And so we came up with the STEPS model probably 25 years ago. And now we run everything through STEPS. And when we hire a new employee, they do a STEPS project as part of their showing that they're a good fit for O.C. Tanner. They do a STEPS project.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. We do that. They do a 5S project, do an 8-ways project, all in their first 3 months, just kind of get them acclimated. So,
wow. Gary, when you mentioned a moment ago, you have strangers come into your organization, you hand them a Gemba sheet and say, go audit my company while you're on your tour. Mm-hmm. That probably makes a lot of people watching this podcast right now really nervous.
Say more about that. I'm not sure.
I mean, the thought of, a customer walking in and go, hey, go audit us,
Yeah.
So does it go to customers? Is it just strangers? Is it, did you guys put some guardrails on it early on?
We have everybody, we let anybody go and do the audit. And it's our people are really good about it. For one thing, they pass 95% of the audits. If they fail, it's like, it might be like the manager just shifted and they haven't yet had a coaching session with the new manager. Well, that's a fail, but understandable. I think I go out on the floor and I'll ask the team leader, hey, I got to do an assessment on this. I don't know her very well. She's been here just a couple of weeks. Can she pass this audit? They'll go, yeah, she can pass that audit. So I'll go over there and I say, hey, I'm Gary. I introduce myself. I'm here to do the Gemba assessment. Oh, sure, go ahead. I'm always astonished at how ready people are, how willing they are to do an audit. Some companies, you walk in, and they see you coming at them, and they hide their face. They don't want anything to do with you. Our people are like, come on over here, because I think it's because it's psychologically safe.
Yeah, it is.
It's safe. No one's going to hurt you. No one's going to demean you.
But they're going through it on a continuous basis. That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah. And when we do the report outs on the workshops that you guys come and do, I always love, I hear them talking about the things they saw, the things where we could improve. You could do this better. I think I see an opportunity there. But the way they talk, they feel to me like they're being respectful. I always call that out. Thank you. I'm guessing from the way you're talking right now, you were on the floor and you showed respect to our people. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being that way.
And what Gary's talking about, the Association of Manufacturing Excellence typically has a workshop there every year. So you might want to get up on their website and see when it's going to be next year.
Come on
out. He'd love to have you see it. And it's here again. It's ame.org if you want to get more information about it.
Yeah.
No, I think what you've described there, Gary, is an amazing culture just from the few minutes I've spent with you.
Yeah.
At what point in your cultural journey did you go, wow, hey, I think it's safe enough here to let some strangers on at our people?
Oh, that's a great question, Joel. I will tell you that when I came from marketing as a change facilitator. We were having, our efficiencies were dropping because we were going to market different. So we were producing now in smaller units instead of the big batches. And I thought, okay, we're going to get more out of people. So I started forming the people into teams. I'd go have a team meeting with them. The first team meetings were like just 15 minutes because that's all the silence I could take at one time. Nobody would even look at me. They were so afraid. Mm. And literally, it was 6 weeks before. So this was 35 years ago, and we had a very top-down, controlling, autocratic culture. The manager was, lord of his kingdom, her kingdom, and people just shut up and did what they were told. A lot of fear. And 6 weeks into the team meeting, somebody finally spoke. And I was asking a team about their quality. We didn't have any data. I handed everyone a piece of paper and a pencil. They're keeping track of units. And I noticed that one team had really bad quality. And I was just kept asking, there's something going on, tell me, how come your quality is so bad? And finally, a woman stood up, slammed the table. You want to know why our quality is bad? And I was like, yes, somebody's talking. And she says, because Katie's work looks like crap. But she didn't say crap. It was like, oh no, she's talking. I mean, that's where we were. Mm-hmm. Would I want someone to go talk to any of those people and do a Gemba assessment? No, I would not. It took a lot of time to kind of help people be more respectful of each other, more humble in their approach. It took time to build, but you asked when I noticed it. I will say that about 7 years into our journey, we were teaching problem solving, we were engaging people, we were teaching management to behave differently. 7 years into our journey, I was in my office, I was watching people go home, change a shift, watching people walk out the door, and someone walked by, I thought, man, look how strong she looks. She looks capable. And then so does the next person. It's like they all had this swagger, this, I'm somebody. I can do stuff. And people coming in, I was realizing they all looked, I don't know when it happened, but that's when it occurred to me that everyone was different. And I thought to myself, by golly, they're not just changing things at work anymore. Look at that confidence. They're going to go home and make things better at their home and their schools and their churches and their community. They're like, I can fix stuff. Mm-hmm. And I talked to my team and I was like, look, this is bigger than we thought. We thought we were saving the business. We thought we were saving the company. And I feel like we're changing the world. Mm-hmm. One person at a time, one family at a time. And I think this work of continuous improvement culture is, I think it's, other than more faith, I think this continuous improvement culture is one of the biggest things the world needs.
That's good. I believe it too. Doug, how's the focus shifted from traditional TQM, right? We heard all those buzzwords in the late 80s, early 90s, or those simple lean tools to the principles being taught by Shingo Institute.
Well, I mean, the principles with Shingo, and you can get up online in the Shingo organization, And it's basically guiding principles that go into systems, that go into tools, that it's all created by the behavior and the culture that get the results. So that's basically the model of the Shingle Prize, and it really works. And the Shingle Prize has evolved over time. It wasn't always this way. Initially, it started off basically as tools, and as it has evolved, they've changed the model. So today, if you get up online in the Shingle website, they have 6 courses, which they call Discover courses that cover these principles. And if you really want to apply for the Shingle Prize, I encourage everybody to go through these modules and get the training. And a lot of the modules are at factories where you go to the Gemba and you actually see it. And Gary, I know you sponsor a lot of these workshops with the Shingle organization at your site.
That's right.
You want to comment on it at all?
Well, I think what people learn from doing those workshops is that lean is something, continuous improvement is something to help people do. Whereas I think the earlier quality systems were things you did to people. I'm doing this to you. And I think in the early years of our conversion, I was doing it to people.
And that's pretty common.
I was dragging them to the ability to control their own destiny. It was like I made you do it. But I think the old tools were like Six Sigma. Let me come in and fix your problem. I've got the tools. You're not smart enough to do it. I mean, they'll say that, but I know the answers. As opposed to let me teach you what you need to do. Let me teach you the tools you need to use so that you can make things better. I mean, that's where we are now.
Well, and a lot of it comes back to training. We did a lot of training at Harris. I've done a lot of training in all the companies I worked at that I ran. I know you do a tremendous amount of training at O.C. Tanner.
Right. Well, we train from the minute they walk in the door.
Well, that's correct. It's onboarding. Yeah. The onboarding process, and you just talked about it a little bit ago, it's critical. If you don't do a good job on onboarding, they're not going to fit into the culture, and you may lose them within 4 to 6 weeks.
That's right. Well, you think about it. They're joining a team meeting every week. They're joining a huddle multiple times a day. What are you guys talking about? And why are you talking like this? And where's the manager? It's just different. And you got to help them understand this is the way we work. This is the way it's going to be. You got to hire carefully to make sure that you're hiring people who are creative and innovative problem solvers, and they're collaborative. They want to work as a team. If you bring in the right sort of person, then you got to spend time getting them up to speed fast, because otherwise they're going to be in the meeting thinking, I don't even know what's going on here. But then the next day there's some coaching. Okay, let's talk about what you didn't understand yesterday. How do I get you there? Do these projects. You learn these things. I think that is a critical part of our system, and we stumbled across it. I mentioned I went to marketing for about 5 years after we made our transition, because we needed to generate some new products, to kind of stay vibrant in the marketplace. And I had this new line making products, and I was back in manufacturing now. And I walk into the night shift, and everybody's new. Everyone's new.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah,
on all shifts.
And I'm realizing this is how we lose it all. Is hire a whole bunch of people for new products. They have no idea how we got here. They have no idea how we work. And I think I looked a little bit horrified. And the manager asked me, what's wrong? And I said, well, I'm just looking at this team. I'm a little bit worried about you guys. I mentioned it. 3 months later, we're back in that team. They've all got these big grins on their faces. And we're like, what's up? And they all shouted in unison, we're a lean team. And then they each taught us a lean principle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's when we thought, okay, that's what we got to do with new people. We just got to immerse them. We got to get them right up to speed, help them understand that this is the way we work, because it also weeds people out. if someone's doesn't want to be part of the problem solving, they don't want to be collaborative with their teammates, they don't want to come to work with energy, they start to realize, okay, this isn't going to work for me. So,
Doug, I recall in the 90s you announcing at a all hands meeting that we were investing about 80 hours a year in the typical employee in training.
And that's how we kicked it off.
Do you happen to know, Gary, about, put you on the spot here?
That's a great question. I think I ought to get the answer to that.
Okay.
I don't know how much time we spend on it, but I can tell you that like a new employee is doing these projects, as I was talking about. They're sitting down every week with their manager and their director, and that lasts throughout the first 3 months. That's a lot of time. Plus, they're learning job skills.
Yeah.
So it's significant for sure.
And what we would end up doing, we'd be doing coaching from the top all the way down. We've identified what skills they needed to have, and what skills they didn't complete yet, and we put together a training or coaching plan for that individual at every level in the organization.
Yep.
And that's what it takes. And then you got to monitor them. Some of them are basically in classrooms, some of them are basically online, but you got to make sure that they're going forward. And here again, it's the monthly coaching, the weekly coaching, the quarterly coaching sessions. Each one has a little different level to it, but the coaching and the review with the employee to make them feel that they're part of the team is a critical part.
I think so. And it's interesting. People come to the plant and they see all this going on, and it's not production. And they're always like, how do you pay for that? And I remember the early days, that was the strain. It was like, man, I want to pull someone off the floor. That's costly, until you start to realize it's more costly not to do it. And about a year into my time in manufacturing, the vice president of manufacturing was retiring, and I was helping carry his stuff out to the car, and he closed the door. He turns around, puts his hand on my shoulder. Can I give you one piece of advice, Gary? Yeah, I'd love to hear it. All these decades of experience. He said, get those people out of those meetings, back to the floor working. That was his advice.
Well, that was the mentality.
That was the mentality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we realize that it's a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pull off the floor. We're going to learn something new, and they're going to be better. And that's the leap.
What's interesting, and Joe, you and I experienced, because I brought you in to be part of the team. But when I took over the Farallon division for Harris Corporation, we were the worst division within the corporation. 5 years later, we were the best. And it was basically having a boss, Ricardo Diaz, that believed in lean, believed in what the plan that we put together, and never slowed me down and making it implement. And here again, it's having the right leadership at the right top and doing that leap of faith.
Yeah. Yep.
A moment ago, you both mentioned the coaching, and so that takes me to my next question for you, Gary. In your career, what's the one lesson about coaching leaders that has had the biggest impact on sustained improvement?
I think so. So now the people I coach are executives, they're vice presidents and directors, and I have successfully surrounded myself with high driving, very capable people. And I was still in my coaching looking for little things that they needed to improve and get better at. And I found that at that level, it was more effective to focus on what they do well and get them better and better at the things that they excel at, as opposed to trying to make everybody a great speaker, make everybody a great this, make everybody a great that. It's like, okay, I got lots of different people. Everyone's got a different part to play, and I need all the different skills. I don't need everyone having all the skills. Mm-hmm. And that's where I actually ended up, was at the highest level is trying to help everyone be their best self instead of the optimum that I wanted everyone to be. I had to come off of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's true at a team level as well. There is an introvert on the team who doesn't speak as much, but everyone knows that she knows the most about these three processes. And so when it comes to talking about standardized work, and they get to that part, everyone's going to, Ishrat, what do you think about this? And she's comfortable talking about the things she knows. And I think we just have to realize, okay, we don't give equal time to everybody. Not everyone talks about everything, but everyone participates where they have something to value, something to add.
And that's one of the reasons we started doing catchball, for that very reason.
Yeah.
So it really developed and pulled the teams together at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That did. This question is for both of you. What's the most significant cultural enabler you've implemented to sustain continuous improvement across organizations?
If you don't mind, if I go first, Doug, I will say that for us, it's our coaching system. And we started it quite by accident. We were trying to get team members to, this was the first system we put in place. So I'm talking 30 some odd years ago. We were trying to get team members to feel like they own quality and cost and safety, because they didn't think they did. They thought the manager owns all that, which blew my mind. It's like, you're actually touching the part. How can you not own quality? I don't own it. The manager does. So we started doing a weekly 5-minute sit down with the manager to walk through results, to try to help team members own it. And we did get there. We got to the where the team members owned it, but more importantly, that 5 minutes of conversation once a week, manager to team member, it was like the us and them mentality was starting to melt. I could feel the ice melting in the facility. And you can't have a conversation with somebody over a 6-week period without starting to realize you got some strengths, you got some you got a dog just like mine. You like to fish? I do too. It's like all of a sudden we're human beings in this room, and not manager, worker, but we're just people all doing our jobs. And when we were done doing that 5-minute thing, we put the coaching system in place. And you're still going to meet with everybody. It's going to be a half hour every 2 weeks. And I remember the managers were like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me. I don't have time for that. I got a full-time job. I'd have to what do you want me to give up to do this?" I was like, "I don't care what you give up.
Just do it."
But you're going to do the coaching. And very quickly, we had people saying, "Man, I have more time than I had before, because all the problems I was reacting to are starting to go away as I proactively talk to people on an ongoing basis." So for me, I will, if I go back in time, I have to do everything again. There's a lot of things I'd change. Coaching is not one of them. I would definitely go that route again.
And I agree with it. The other thing with me is, how do you establish a self-directed work team? And how do you get them to really buy into the culture?
Yeah.
And how do they feel like they're part of the team, and how they impact the strategic plan, and breaking it down, Hoshin Connery, all the way down into that element in that team within the organization, because everybody impacts the overall business that you're running, and keeping that going. And here again, and developing the team leaders in those self-directed work teams. And I know at O.C. Tanner, you've got a process for it. I had a process back in the Harris days, and even at the M2 Global days, and it's critical. And how are you developing the next team leader? I mean, you just can't do it once.
That's
You've got to have a process that you've got a way to move up the organization and be part of the team. And sometimes what we found out is moving team leaders around, so they really learn the total process of the organization.
Yeah, we rotate team leaders, we rotate group leaders, managers, we rotate directors, we rotate vice presidents.
Yeah, and I learned that from O.C. Tanner.
We rotate them because, I want them to know all of the business, but I don't want them to know any piece of the business so well that they can tell their team how to do their job.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually want them to walk into the air and say, "Okay, you guys all know, I don't know this as well as you do. So I'm not here to tell you how to do your job, but I'm going to watch you problem solve. I'm going to watch you go out there. I'm going to figure out what tools you need. What can I teach you that helps you be better at your job?"
That's good. Gary, you said something about those regular one-on-one coaching sessions at the Global Leadership Summit, probably 9 years ago. I heard Marcus Buckingham speak, and he's a researcher and written several books. And he was bold enough to say, if you can't do one-on-ones as a manager, if you don't have enough time to do one-on-ones, you need to get out of leadership.
Yeah. Well, I think to that point, Joel, I think for too long, that wasn't seen as part of leadership, wasn't seen as part. I mean, it was management didn't include cultivating capabilities in people. It was more.
They thought it was part of HR, or you bring in outside consulting.
Exactly right. I mean, the old style of management just doesn't work anymore in today's world, and these one-on-ones and this connection between human beings, I think is so important.
It's key.
Yeah. Not just in work.
in your life.
Yeah.
In and out, and especially with your family.
Yeah.
We've been talking about cultural enablers. Doug, you gave the answer a moment ago. We went from the worst performing division, and in 5 years, we were the best performing division. That's a measure, but were there any other, and this question is really for both of you, were there any other measures of effectiveness that you've been able to put around culture enablement and driving bottom line results?
Well, Harris at the time had a total quality review system, and it included more than just quality. And I was on a number of those teams, went around the world because they had operations around the world, doing audits based on their criteria. They developed their own. It wasn't just all based on quality. And that was key. But that also helped drive that theme with all the other divisions within Harris Corporation. And at Farallon, initially, we just had an operation in California, one in Canada, and one in San Antonio. Eventually, we grew to 2 in Canada, one in China, and another one in Brazil. And how do you get that culture all the way down through? So we had to develop the toolkit to make that happen. And each, believe it or not, it's kind of funny, because up in Montreal, I'd go up there and they'd have the meeting in French. Well, I had 2 years of French in high school, but I never told anybody about it. So I'd be sitting in these meetings listening to them. So then I used that eventually. And eventually, they figured out I knew what they were saying. And it helped change the culture up there. I mean, they were a little different breed to change, but at the end, they ended up being an unbelievable organization. And we integrated some of the teams by getting work permits and moving people around from Canada to the U.S. and trying to develop that culture, or hybrid of a culture that could work.
Yeah, I think it's a tough question. Culture's tough to measure. But one of the things that I like to keep my eye on is just about everybody in the factory is connected somehow to somebody else before they started working. Like they have a friend who brought them, or a family. We have multi-generations.
Boy, that's the best hire.
Yeah. We have multi-generations, the grandma started, and then the 2 children, the nieces and so forth. I think it also helps people stay if, they got a good friend or a family member at work. But I thought one time, some years ago, that it might be a good question of engagement. Yes, I would invite my friends and family to work at O.C. Tanner. So I put out the survey, and the answer came back, no, I wouldn't. I was like, well, fascinating. Let's do a focus group and understand, why wouldn't you invite your family and friends to come work here? And the response I got was, yeah, you don't want my Uncle John working here. My Aunt Mary, you don't want her here. I'm like,
I get it now.
and in a way, they're protecting the culture.
Yeah.
So we changed the question, assuming that your family and friends match the culture, would you invite? Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
So I think that's a good way to make it.
And actually, we were paying a lot of money for recruiters, and we started giving bonuses for them to bring people in, and it saved us a lot of money.
Absolutely, and you get better people.
Yeah. And then and we staged the bonus. They get so much after 90 days,
right?
And 6 months they get another payment. Yeah. So it basically, does the employee stay there?
Yeah. And maybe when maybe another way to measure that, Doug, is if you at some point they see the value in bringing their family and friends. If you stopped paying the bonus, would they still bring their family?
Well, I'm sure they would.
And then you'd be like, okay, I think we've arrived.
We got there.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Gary.
Yeah.
Cleaning out my closet, I found my hat from the
Winter Olympics
in 2000.
Yeah.
And actually, I worked that with the ski patrol back when I was really a young guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I actually had hair back then. Tell us a little bit about how, and I know the Olympics are coming up again.
Yes, they are.
So tell us a little bit about how O.C. Tanner contributed to that.
Yeah, so the Salt Lake 2002 Winter Olympics had a bunch of turmoil surrounding them. There were some illegal things going on, and early on, and there's a big turnover. And Mitt Romney swooped in and saved the day. And he was asking the community, somebody's got to step up. I need everybody to join us. We can't just do this on our own. And he was asking companies to join. And O.C. Tanner was the first company who said, okay, we're in. We'll help. And our offer of help was, we'll make the medals, for the Olympics, which is kind of self-serving, but
yeah.
It was a fantastic experience. But it was funny, the company meeting where Ross Robson came to announce that we had received the Shingo Prize. Applause. Everyone was just uproarious. Mitt Romney came walking in when he upstaged Ross Robson. Mitt Romney's one fine-looking man. He goes walking in. He says, you guys are the first ones to engage with the Olympics. Thank you. Big applause. And I think things really took root after that. Making the medals was a huge honor. And we designed something new for them, a way that had never been done before. I thought it was a little bit crazy, but they loved it. The athletes loved it. And, the fun thing about making the medals was there's always some turmoil, some inner thing. You may remember the ice skating where they gave 2 gold medals. First they didn't, then they did. And the medal ceremonies were at night, the night of. And we basically had 4 hours to turn around a gold medal. But of course, that's the way we manufacture. So for us, it wasn't a problem. It was kind of a fun challenge to be able to talk about that. Yeah, we turned it around in a couple hours, just like we always do. It was a great experience.
You going to have any participation in the next one?
So the Summer Olympics are coming to LA.
Yeah,
and then the next Winter Olympics are in Salt Lake City. Yeah. And we pitched our idea to the Olympic Committee in LA, U.S. based again, but they're still trying to get things figured out. I don't know if that's going to work out. I hope that when Salt Lake hosts again, that O.C. Tanner will be in the middle of it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that if that happens.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Gary, Joe, thank you so much for having this session with us today. This has been unbelievable. Here again, this is Doug Carlberg, president of Carlberg Consulting and past chair of the San Antonio Manufacturing Association. This is another podcast on Lead With Me Leadership.